Let's talk Penn State football. Steve Jones, a play-by-play announcer, joining us this morning. Steve, welcome in.
John, great to be with you again.
Well, it's great to talk a little Nittany Lions football, and you're getting ready for the season just like the team is. Tell us about what you're seeing right now.
Well, what I'm seeing right now is, I'll tell you what I don't like seeing. What I don't like seeing is when I watch a preseason and one side of the ball dominates the other. That never has given me over the years a really good feeling about what I'm seeing. Yeah, obviously I feel great about the one side of the ball, but then I'll walk out and say, I wonder if they've got anything over here. What I'm seeing in this preseason is everybody is getting something. The offense is winning its fair share of victories. The defense is winning its fair share of victories. And you feel like you've got a better rounded team when you see something like that. Now, obviously, for every single play that happens, you mentioned there's going to be a high school scrimmage coming up this afternoon, but they're going to be scrimmaging against somebody else. Well, when you're scrimmaging against yourself, and Penn State's going to scrimmage this afternoon at Beaver Stadium, when you scrimmage against yourself, for every great play, hey, look at that play Irvin Charles made. Well, okay, what happened on the coverage? So you always get that plus and that minus out of it. But I'm not seeing one side of the ball dominate the other. Now, some days the defense wins it, but some days the offense wins it. That's a good thing, and that's why I feel like I'm seeing progress.
Everybody emphasizing that offensive line. I don't know how many years it goes back. Seems like 3-4 years. Hey, the offensive line.
Yeah.
Well, how we look at now, I mean, we got local guys in the mix on that offensive line.
You do, and let's start with a very simple basic stat. In the last 3 years, Christian Hackenberg was sacked more than any quarterback in college football, 103 times. But do you know who's number two? Cody Kessler of USC, 100. What do both have in common? They both played in an era of sanctions. It doesn't take a. If you take a little bit of time and take it beyond just the surface of what you're watching, and then realize that somebody else is also going through what you are going through, ends up with the same stats. That tells you a lot. Guy going to center is a big plus. I like that. Nelson staying on that right side, I think, is a help. And Brendan Mann is another guy on that left side. Mann's versatility really is a plus for Matt Weingrover on the offensive line. Connor McGovern has had himself a really good preseason. I'm sure that's one of the local guys you are referring to.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Mennett's had himself a really good preseason. Ryan Bates at that left guard spot is a plus for this team. We've talked a lot about Bates in the last 2 years, but he's never played in the game because he's still only a redshirt freshman. But Bates is about 302, 303. He can move, and this offense really does benefit the offensive line. And the offensive linemen love playing in this kind of offense, and I think it's given them a lot of confidence. I think for the most part, they perform well in the preseason.
And then we get over to our skill guys, and that backfield's looking pretty good. And then I think the quarterback may be better than people think.
Well, I think the system fits both quarterbacks, John. That's a big plus, is that Joe Moorhead's system really does play into how Trace McSorley and Tommy Stevens play the game. Both of them can move. And to be honest with you, John, a quarterback that can move really would have helped this offense the last 2 years. I mean, I talked to Jerry DiNardo at Big Ten Network several times about this, and he's the one that made that initial point to me. He says, you got to have a guy that can move when your offensive line is down. And now the offensive line's better, but the fact that McSorley and Stevens both can move is a plus. I think Stevens, to his credit, one of the reasons you don't sit there and name a starter in this spot when you start the preseason is you want to see if the other guy has closed the gap on him. Because, 3-4 months makes a difference. Tommy Stevens, to his credit, has closed the gap. But McSorley's also had himself a really good preseason. In fact, I think McSorley this week's had a really good week. And today's scrimmage will help out. Now, this scrimmage today, and then the practice they've got coming up on Tuesday night, these are the two key ones right here at this point. Because this is now decision time. The coaches are going to meet on Monday, which is the first day of classes. About the time they start to make the decision as to who goes to scout team and then who ends up going to the quote varsity group.
Well, interested to see how it all shakes out. How about over on the defensive side? Of course, Naeem Ortman-White playing some ball back this year. We got a couple other guys maybe vying up front, and Ryan Monk, we're looking to see how he does on the defensive line as well.
Ryan Monk is right in the mix of defensive tackle. I can tell you that right now. And that's something where I think everybody out in Dallas has got to be thrilled about that. He is a high-energy, smart player. He would not be a starter right now, but he would be absolutely in the mix in that defensive tackle spot at this moment. Naeem White is just a really good, solid football player. I do not discount the fact that in the Temple game last year, Penn State had complete control of the Temple offense when he was playing. When he left the game, then Penn State really started to struggle defensively against Temple. He makes a big difference out there. You put him in combination with Kabinda and Brandon Bell, that's a really good trio at linebacker. And Kabinda and White are really interchangeable at those two linebacker spots inside. You add Jake Cooper to the mix, who's had a really good preseason, Manny Bowen, guy like Jonathan Thomas, and now you've got even a little bit of depth at linebacker, and you feel like you can, make sure that you can keep guys fresh as the season goes. And you're right, Naeem has had a really, really good preseason to his credit.
Steve Jones, play-by-play guy for the Penn State Nittany Lions here on the John Mendola Show. We're driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Steve, everybody pretty much saw the pictures. What do you think the locker room atmosphere kind of did to this team?
Well, everything around here is upgrading as time goes because, you have to keep up with what everybody's doing. It all started with the lobby aspect of it. They took care of the lobby first. And then they went to the locker room and the training room as well, and the equipment room. That was all done at once. And I walked in there and I saw it, and I was taken aback because it's so completely different. And the players absolutely love it. And then they also redid parts of inside Haluba Hall, too. Haluba Hall used to be two 60-yard fields side by side, mirroring the outside practice field. It's now a 100-yard practice field inside from north to south, and they changed up the field turf there. So the players have to feel like they're being treated in a first-class manner because they are getting a lot of first-class treatment along the way, and that locker room, which is a sense of pride for any football team, they absolutely loved it, and they should. I mean, there was a lot of money put into that.
Absolutely. Well, Steve, we'll be looking forward to talk to you on a couple game days. I think we're going to try to squeeze you in. Of course, we're the lead-in before the Penn State pregame show on a 12 o'clock game. Starts at 10:30 here on WILK. Want to thank you for your time, Steve, and enjoy the scrimmage today.
John, always a pleasure. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Steve Jones, for joining us, the play-by-play announcer for the Penn State Nittany Lions, who talk about our local guys and the rest of the team here on the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers.